Welcome to our weekly Facebook Live session. A little early this week. Ashley just refused to do it at 3:30, so we had to go early. So I apologize if some of you couldn't get here live and in person. Hopefully you'll check it out on our web page. Where else is it available, Ashley?
It'll be available on herald-review.com and our YouTube page as well, and we'll have it available across our H&R Sports Facebook page, the Mark Tupper Facebook page, Twitter.
You know, I didn't even know there was a Mark Tupper Facebook page.
There is.
I'm so active on it. So I got some questions submitted by people, and one from last week as well from Adam Hawkins, and didn't get it in time, so I said we'd get it this week, and I'm glad Ashley reminded me about it. Okay, here we go. This person says, okay, we've heard all the talk about the freshmen having a good training camp for the Illini. He's talking football. But we've heard about good freshmen before, and very, very few of them actually play. Will any of these kids actually play? That is what I'm writing about Sunday in the Herald Review, and you'll want to look at it because I'll get to go into a little more depth. But it is, in my opinion, the number one revealing thing about training camp over there is that these freshmen, Lovey's first recruiting class, are not only really good, they're really going to play. I think Garrick McGee, the offensive coordinator, was the most outspoken and committal on this thing. He just said, you know, when we recruited these kids, we went into their living rooms with their families, and we told them, you are going to play as a freshman. If you don't get hurt, you're healthy, you're going to play. And I went through a list of their, just a little bit ago, I was thinking, how many actually are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I count 16 freshmen. These are kids who 1 year ago today were getting ready to play their final season of high school football, that are going to play in Big Ten football games this year, provided they're blessed with health. And that, to me, is an astonishing number. And so what does that mean? That means that they're willing to live with freshman mistakes, which are going to happen. They're willing to live with freshman bodies that are a year away from being close to where they need to be in terms of strength by working in the weight room. But they're playmakers, and these are better playmakers than the kids that Lovey inherited. And I don't think we should be all that surprised by that. But I'm telling you, these kids are really good-looking kids, and some of them are really fast, some of them are big, all of them look pretty skilled. And so, yes, you're going to see them. I've been assured by both coordinators and the head coach that these guys are going to be out on the field, and I think we're going to see them in the opening game September 2nd against Ball State. I think we're going to see them in the Big Ten opener, and as long as they stay healthy, I think some of them are going to take on bigger and bigger roles as the season go on. I think that's going to be the biggest story of this season. The next question said, reading stories from training camp, it sounds like Chase Crouch is pretty good one day, not so much the next day. What's your take on the Illini quarterback? Well, my take on him is that that's kind of what I'm seeing. He's not as consistent as you would like, but I don't think you want either side of the ball to win every day. I think if the offense won every day, I think you'd really have concerns about the defense. If the defense won every day, you'd be worried about the offense. So the fact that they've gone back and forth, I think that's an okay thing. That's a good thing. I wish he was throwing the ball more consistently. I've seen him make some great throws into tight windows. I've seen him try to force the ball into tight windows and get it deflected and picked off. So I think that it's still an unanswered question as to how consistent he's going to be and how good he's going to be. And as I said last week, I think it's difficult to evaluate him because his running is a big part of what he does, and they won't let him be exposed to any contact in training camp. So you're always wondering, would he have broken a tackle there? Would he have gained yardage there? Would he have gotten away there? Would that really have been a sack? You know, that those things are hard to guess. But he's been decent, not as consistent as I would like. The next question. I've read much about Kendrick Foster. I haven't read much about Kendrick Foster so far, and he's their number one running back. What's up? Well, because their roster is thin and because Lovey doesn't want to expose key people to injuries in training camp, they limit contact a little more than some teams would. and they have withheld Kendrick from some practices altogether because they can't afford to get him hurt, or they don't feel like they want to get him hurt. So we haven't seen him all the time. When he's been in there, he's looked good. But we also haven't seen Reggie Corbin, who would be his backup. Dre Brown, who like Mikey Dudek missed the last 2 years with injuries, hasn't been back yet. So we're getting a long look at Mike Epstein, who's a true freshman who's going to play, at Rayvon Bonner, who's a true freshman who's going to play, and really seeing more of them and a couple walk-on guys than we have what would normally be the top three guys: Kendrick Foster, Reggie Corbin, and Dre Brown. And so don't be worried about Kendrick Foster. He's okay. I think he's going to have a really good year. I look for him to be a 1,000-yard running back, but they're not going to expose him to contact or much contact right now. So that's why you haven't heard much about him or read much about him. Another football question. I can't remember the last time Illinois had really good special teams. Is this the year? Boy, that's a good question. I can't remember the last time they had really good special teams either. Their place kicker, Chase McLaughlin is a good kid and a pretty good kicker. I kind of like him. I think the more interesting guy is their punter. He's a true freshman also. He's from Australia. His name is Blake Hayes. He's a big dude, 6'6", 220. He's never played American football. He played Australian rules football. But he's got a big leg. It looks like he can boom the ball pretty good. Their special teams are coached by Bob Ligashevsky, who's been a special teams coordinator in the National Football League. He knows what he's doing. I'm hopeful that this is a year that they turn the corner and actually start making a positive difference. In the past, when they've made a difference in games, it's been a negative difference. They've botched punts, they've missed field goals, they've failed to cover kicks, all that kind of stuff. I also think they should be boosted by some of these true freshmen wide receivers in particular, like Ricky Smalling, who's got a chance to be a dynamic punt returner. So I'm excited about that part of it. Okay, basketball. What did you think about the basketball schedule, which came out this week? Well, I'm one of those people that's having a hard time wrapping my head around this move of the Big Ten to the East. Remember when the Big Ten was 10 teams? You almost got to be old to remember that, because it's been almost 30 years since they added Penn State. That was number 11. Then they added, I think in 2011, they added Nebraska. That was number 12. And then in 2014, they added Rutgers and Maryland, and now that gives them 14 teams, which is what they have. And this push to the West is obviously to try to garner more of the East Coast TV market for the Big Ten Network and get more subscribers out there to expand their footprint to the East. But it's resulted in some things that we didn't anticipate. It's not just teams in the East or games in the East, but last year, the Big Ten men's basketball tournament, Jim Delaney wanted to hold it in Washington, D.C., so they did that, and that's kind of a pain. And then this year it's going to be in Madison Square Garden in New York City, and that's really unusual. And in order to secure Madison Square Garden, they had to move the Big Ten tournament up a week because the Big East has it the week that the Big Ten normally plays its tournament. So when you move it up a week, you shorten your regular season by a week, and now it becomes impossible to squeeze all the Big Ten games in between the 1st of January and the start of the earlier Big Ten tournament. So what did they do? When the schedule came out yesterday, every Big Ten team will play 2 conference games, one home, one road, between December the 1st and December the 5th. That's a full month earlier than normal. Illinois will open December the 1st against Northwestern on the road, and they'll play Maryland at the State Farm Center on December the 3rd. And then they play 6 non-conference games before they resume Big Ten play on the 3rd of January. That's weird. That's different. We've never seen anything like that. And then the other difference in the schedule is, for whatever reason, it seems real choppy this year. The 4 of Illinois' first 5 Big Ten games in January are on the road. And then 5 of their next 6 are at home. It's usually more, home and away, and maybe 2 or whatever. You usually don't see it like that. But there's no 3-game road swings, which is good, and there's 1 3-game home stand, which is good. I actually don't mind the earlier conference games in early January. I think the other thing about the Big Ten tournament starting a week early, it means it ends a week early. And that means that Big Ten teams now are going to have 7 extra days off, no competition whatsoever, before the NCAA tournament begins. It'll be sort of like the schedule that the Missouri Valley Conference plays right now. So, and that's going to be different. I don't know how coaches are going to like that. I think they're not going to like it. I don't know that they're going to say anything publicly about it, A, because they don't want to tick off Jim Delaney, and B, what is the point in complaining about it if that's your schedule? You may as well not put it in your kids' heads that, oh, we're at some disadvantage. So don't do that. So I think they'll try to spin it, even if they don't believe it, I think they'll try to spin it psychologically as this is an advantage. We can get rested up, we can get healthy, we can use the extra practice time while everyone else is beating their brains out in conference tournaments. So the other weird thing is that anymore, and this is like this in football, we've complained about this in football, you've got games on, used to be every game was on Saturday, right? Now they're Saturday, they're Friday. Some conferences are playing Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that's been a change we haven't liked. In basketball now, I'm looking at their basketball schedule right here. They play at least one game on every day of the week. They have a Monday game, a Tuesday game, a Wednesday game, Thursday, a few Friday games, Saturday and Sunday. So I think that's more an issue for fans. It used to be you could get in a rhythm with the schedule. I don't think that's possible anymore. I think that's really hard. So, what do I think of the schedule? It is what it is. The Big Ten tournament returns to the Midwest after this year, which I like that. We as a newspaper, almost every newspaper has cut their travel budget. That's just a fact nationally. And so we didn't go to Washington, D.C. last year. We're not going to Madison Square Garden this year, or at least not right now. If Illinois ends up being in first place and has a chance to win it, I'm going to go in there and scream and holler and offer to have Ashley drive me. But I don't know how that's going to go. But so next year it's in Chicago. The year after in Indianapolis, the year after that back in Chicago, the year after that back in Indianapolis. And by then, Jim Delaney will probably, one of two things will have happened. He will dream up another East Coast site, or he will have retired and let the next commissioner figure out that problem. But, okay, here's Adam Hawkins' question from last week. Missouri and the Porter kid and Tillman. Will Illinois be able to handle them? That's a good question, Adam. That game is on Saturday, December 23rd, the bragging rights game, and it's actually 2 Porter kids now because 2 of them have, the one kid decommitted from Washington and will play. The other kid, his brother, did what's called reclassifying, and he will graduate early enough. He was going to be a 2018 recruit. He becomes a 2017 recruit, and he will be on their roster this year. And then Jeremiah Tillman, the kid that decommitted from Illinois, from East St. Louis, he will be there. That is a lot of talented big kids, no doubt about it. Will Illinois be able to handle them? Probably not. Missouri's going to be better than Illinois this year. They're certainly going to be ranked and perhaps ranked high. But I think that game, I'll take anything that makes that game more fun again. Last year was the low water point. There were like 12,000 empty seats, 11,000 empty seats. A lot of empty seats. That game was always sold out every year, and just the buzz was gone. And of course, both schools fired their coaches, and that was an indication that neither team was living up to its expectations. This year, Missouri's going to be ranked. There's a lot of excitement with Conzo Martin running the program. This year, Illinois has got a new head coach. There's a lot of excitement with Brad Underwood running the program. We don't know how good Illinois is going to be. I like their chances to be competitive with Brad's style. Think of the excitement there's going to be for Mark Smith, the freshman from Edwardsville down near St. Louis, to play in that game. Goodness, the excitement in this game is going to be terrific, but Illinois is going to have to handle 3 big kids. Illinois is never going to play that style. If Missouri's style is going to be, we're going to go through the middle, the post, and play these big kids, and I'm not saying they will. They may just be big kids out running, but Illinois is not going to play that way. They're going to play with 5 similar position guys. You're going to see a lot of Michael Finke. They're going to worry about rebounding the ball with LeRon Black and all that kind of stuff, and they're going to have perimeter guys that can handle it and run with it and shoot. It's going to be exciting, Adam. Whether they can handle those Missouri kids or not, we're headed in a better direction for both programs, and we're headed in a more exciting direction for that game. So that's it. Thanks for being with us. We'll try to get back on our 3:30 schedule next week. You can email me schedules or tweet them to me, any way you want to, and we'll try to get to your schedules and talk to you then.